While blood and hunting always seize the eye first, another power moves quietly beneath the surface of all this violence. It is the power of those who do not live by killing, yet determine who still has a chance to live. In Uganda, that power is most clearly embodied by the African elephant. The largest land animal on Earth does not merely exist upon the savannah. It reshapes it. A single adult can consume hundreds of pounds of vegetation each day. Elephants topple trees, tear branches, and open clearings where sunlight can strike the earth, allowing fresh grass to rise, the lifeblood of zebra, antelope, and countless other creatures. Wherever elephants pass, the landscape itself is rewritten, but their true strength is seen most clearly when the heat becomes merciless. In the dry season, when riverbeds become nothing but burning sand and natural waterholes have nearly vanished. Elephants use their tusks and feet to dig deep into the dry channels, following memory and instinct until they reach the hidden water table beneath the scorched earth. These temporary wells do not save elephants alone. They become lifelines for countless smaller animals struggling against thirst. Without them, many creatures would die before the rains ever had a chance to return. And in that moment, one is forced to accept a deeper truth. The greatest power on this land does not always lie in the claws of the hunter, but in the ability to nurture and protect life. The social life of elephants is as magnificent as their impact on the land. A herd follows an experienced matriarch, a being who carries within her memory a map of secret water sources and safe migration routes accumulated over decades. When danger appears, they close ranks instantly around their calves. That is not simply protection. It is a declaration from a species that understands that family is both the first and the final line of defense. And when those immense footsteps fade into the haze of dust, the legacy they leave behind begins to speak. The wells they have dug become gathering points for every kind of life trying to cling to another day. Warthogs arrive with low, rugged bodies, their bristled skin almost like natural armor against the harshness of the savannah. Their snouts tear into packed soil to uncover roots and hidden nutrients buried below the dust. They may seem clumsy, but they are creatures made of a rare balance between courage and caution. When cornered, their sharp tusks are enough to make even predators pay a price. Yet a warthog understands something more important than pride. Freedom is worth more than confrontation. The moment it senses an escape route, it bolts for dense cover or the nearest burrow, vanishing from death's reach. Under the blazing sun, zebras appear like a shimmering illusion. Their black and white stripes are more than individual markings. When the herd moves around a water source, those patterns form a living, visual barrier that makes it far harder for lions or leopards to single out one target. Then the impala breaks the stillness with explosive leaps. Light, narrow-bodied, graceful, it changes direction with a beauty that feels almost unreal. But on the savannah, no leap exists for beauty alone. Each bound is a survival calculation solved through speed, angle, and surprise. A life prolonged by inches, by fractions of a second, and by a body fast enough to use both. Behind that apparent lightness stands the eland, the largest antelope of the plains, an embodiment of quiet endurance. It tolerates heat well, browses the driest, toughest shrubs that many other herbivores ignore, and extracts nourishment from the poorest vegetation of the dry season. Its spiraled horns and immense body make it no easy prey for lions or hyenas. Yet even that strength can be broken when hunger pushes lionesses to the brink. In the thorn scrub, gaunt bodies with visible rib cages close in. The ambush unfolds not for glory, but because a lion dynasty on the edge of collapse needs a few more days of survival. When the eland falls in a cloud of dust, the savannah reminds us once more that sometimes one life must be spent so another bloodline can continue. Not far away, topias stand on raised mounds like ancient sentries. They see far, react fast, and remain taut with awareness at every small ripple of danger. This is not meaningless nervousness. On these plains, seeing death a few heartbeats earlier can mean the difference between retreat and ruin. And above them all rises the Rothschild's giraffe, a living monument to composure. It feeds at a height no other herbivore can reach, moves slowly but remains constantly alert, spotting lions and leopards from extraordinary distances. If forced to defend itself, one powerful kick can make most predators reconsider. The elegance of the giraffe has never been a sign of weakness. It is simply violence held inside a body so tall that it does not need to advertise it. The savanna survives not only because some creatures know how to bite a throat, but because others know how to break branches, dig the earth, keep watch, endure the heat, eat what no one else can, and turn their bodies into shields around the young. These herbivores are not a backdrop. They are the framework holding this world together. As the heat continues to tighten its grip, even the wells dug by elephants begin to fail. The scent of distant water draws the herds away from the last scraps of safety and pulls them down toward the lower reaches of the Nile. But on this continent, a glittering surface has never meant peace. It is often only a thin skin stretched over another law, a world where the victor is not always the strongest, but the one who knows how to wait. In rivers like the White Nile, water is the final stronghold against the furnace heat of the savannah. The hippopotamus, the river's bulky giant, spends most of its life submerged to shield its sensitive skin from the sun. Yet that lumbering form is a dangerous illusion. In water, hippos can surge forward with astonishing speed, fast enough to reduce an intruder to mangled flesh before it fully understands what has crossed its path. Drought forces the hippo into a cruel compromise. As grazing land dries out, it must leave the relative safety of the river and march across cracked plains beneath the burning sun in search of nearly 90 pounds of grass every day. And although many imagine them as heavy, lethargic creatures, hippos are among the most dangerous animals in Africa. Their mouths open to impossible angles, their tusks are shaped like knives, and the violence of their anger can destroy anything that wanders too close. In these waters, the river has an owner. But hippos are not the only nightmare here. Nile crocodiles still line the banks like armored statues from another age. After large meals, they bask under the sun, not to rest, but to transform their bodies into biological furnaces, activating stomach acids powerful enough to digest almost everything from flesh and skin to hoof and bone. Lying side by side, they share heat, turning the riverbank into an immense engine of slow destruction. They're capable of sleeping with only half the brain at rest, while the other half remains alert, reading the slightest vibration in water and air. They seem motionless, yet every second, their nervous systems are tracking pressure, movement, and the smallest shift in the world around them. That stillness is not laziness. It is power, compressed and waiting for its moment. Then a force from the mainland arrives, and the entire order of the riverbank changes in an instant. A herd of elephants emerges. For them, the river is not merely a place to drink. It is a sanctuary where family bonds are renewed, where the matriarch confirms the memories she carries, where the social fabric of the herd is restored after a journey through dust and heat. The mere presence of elephants is enough to drive crocodiles back without a fight. One wise crocodile slides silently into the water. The others vanish after it, as though admitting that a greater authority has just taken command. And when the elephants take the bank, what is asserted is not only the dominance of one species, it is a deeper order. The invisible interdependence that binds all life on the savannah together. When the riverbank settles again, the story of Uganda continues through the sky. In the quieter wetlands, the shoebill appears like a relic from prehistoric time. Its bill is enormous, hard as stone. Its gaze is cold and vacant, almost inhuman. It can stand motionless among reeds for hours, so patient it seems more object than animal. But that stillness is its weapon. The instant a lungfish surfaces from the mud, that massive bill strikes with the speed of lightning. There is no drama, no flourish, only a precise ending honed by millions of years of evolution. Out on the sunlit grasslands, the secretary bird chooses a different path. It does not soar like an eagle. It walks across the earth on long, elegant legs, carrying an almost aristocratic beauty. Yet beneath that grace is a specialist executioner of the savannah's deadliest snakes. Each stonk can strike with several times its own body weight, enough to crush a skull outright. It is like a dancer performing on a stage built for death, precise, beautiful, and utterly without retreat. Higher still circles the African fish eagle, its cry spiraling through the sky like the voice of the continent itself. Its brilliant eyes can lock onto movement beneath the water from astonishing distances. Then it folds its wings and plunges like an arrow, lifting prey from the river with talons as sharp as blades. But when those wings come to rest in the branches, and the heat of midday thickens over Uganda, another phantom begins to move, the African leopard. While lions and cheetahs retreat in exhaustion, the leopard turns the middle of the day into opportunity. Beneath sparse shade and searing sunlight, its golden black body melts into the dry foliage. Drought demands patience from it greater than ever. It can lie for hours like a stone with eyes, watching for a young antelope or a troop of monkeys weakened by thirst. When it strikes, it tears open the silence with a short, precise burst of violence, too fast for the prey to cry out. But making the kill is only half the victory. In the hot, dry air, the scent of blood travels quickly, summoning hyenas and every other thief nearby. Without hesitation, the leopard must haul its kill into the branches, suspending its meal above the world below. On this land, survival is not only about taking food, it is about keeping it. Here, life is not measured in years. It is measured in moments. There is no tomorrow if today ends in failure. Across the vast plains of Uganda, peace is only a passing luxury, so thin it almost does not exist. The worst drought in years is draining the lifeblood from this land, forcing every creature to the very edge of its endurance. Grass has been burned into shades of yellow and ash. Mud has shrunk into dark, murky pools. Heat trembles above the ground, as if the entire savannah were laid across a sheet of glowing metal. And when desperation rules, the oldest and most primal conflicts ignite. Among them, few spectacles rival the clash between a lion and a Cape buffalo. On one side stands the continent's most legendary predator, a sovereign shaped by calculation, a creature that has remained at the top of the food chain through coordination, instinct, and the ability to choose the perfect moment to strike. On the other stands a moving fortress weighing nearly a ton, muscle-packed like stone, horns curved like forged steel, and above all, a herd spirit strong enough to turn the hunted into a wall that fights back. The moment one buffalo is cut off from the herd, the hunt begins. Lions slide through the tall grass like gilded phantoms. They do not attack in blind hunger. They build pressure step by step. The savannah becomes a battlefield at once. Tooth and claw meet the iron discipline of the herd, and to hunt a buffalo is always a brutal gamble. One miscalculation can turn the hunter into the one crushed beneath hooves and horns. That struggle is more than a hunt. It is the echo of countless generations that have lived and died on this continent. By midday, when the heat reaches its cruel height and the savannah becomes a vast furnace, even the rulers must retreat. The lions, fed but exhausted, crawl into the thin shade of thorn scrub, leaving the buffalo carcass under the blazing sun like an open invitation to the next contest. In Uganda, the end of one hunt is never the true end. It is only the signal for another battle to begin. From the white glare of the sky, dark shadows descend. Vultures land in a chaos that is strangely calculated, spreading their wings to intimidate one another, fighting for the last scraps of flesh. But their dominance is brief. The stillness of midday is soon torn apart by chilling cries. A clan of spotted hyenas arrives. Do not let their awkward posture and broken laughter deceive you. These are true bone-crushing machines. Their jaws do not simply tear flesh. They crack open rib cages, pulverize the hardest bones, and draw the rich marrow from inside. Every sharp crunch is more than the sound of feeding. It is a declaration of power on the second tier of the food chain. On the outer edge, smaller and more cunning jackals wait for the perfect moment to dart in and steal what falls loose. Under the searing sun, a miniature ecosystem operates with astonishing precision. Blood, flesh, bone, tendon, nothing is wasted. Death, however brutal, becomes the source of life for dozens of other creatures. It is an eternal, unforgiving cycle in which the disappearance of one body is the very thing that allows others to keep living a little longer. Uganda, then, is more than a place. It is an ancient wild kingdom where life still flows according to a primal rhythm. From its mist-veiled forests to its golden savannas and winding river valleys, every creature holds a role that cannot be replaced in nature's grand symphony. Here, nature is not a backdrop. It is a living story, told through footprints on the soil, calls from the treetops, and ripples on the river's skin. But this kingdom is changing. Survival is no longer only about adapting to the teeth and claws of predators. Every species must now face an enemy, more invisible and in some ways more devastating. A warming world. With every dawn, nature is forced to write a harsher chapter than the last. And on this land, life is beginning to understand that its greatest enemy may not be the beast hiding in the grass, but the slow, silent change that is tightening its grip on every last breath of the savannah. Leaving Uganda does not make the story gentler. It only changes its colors. If the savannah is an open stage where every creature is exposed to the light, then Borneo and Sumatra are kingdoms of green darkness, where the canopy is so dense that sunlight must tear through layers of leaves before it ever reaches the ground. Here, power is not always declared by a roar. Often, it is held in silence, in memory, and in the ancient trees that carry the fate of entire generations inside their hollow trunks. High above, the heavy beating of wings makes the forest shudder. The rhinoceros hornbill appears like a living emblem of Borneo's sky. The hollow casque on its bill is not a decoration. It is a resonating chamber, amplifying calls that travel for miles to announce territory and presence. Their lives are tied inseparably to ancient trees with natural cavities. When breeding season begins, the female seals herself inside the nest with mud, remaining in darkness for weeks while she molts and raises her young. Outside, the male shoulders everything. He must gather food, stay faithful, and endure long enough to carry an entire family through its most fragile chapter. By eating large fruits that smaller birds cannot handle, hornbills become master sowers of the forest, scattering seeds far and wide, beginning quiet acts of rebirth across the jungle. Some journeys do not begin in courage. They begin in a shortage of food. When the grass thins, when the earth hardens beneath hooves, when the smell of rain is still far away, but new pasture waits somewhere beyond the horizon, the wildebeest begin to move. At first it is quiet, a few dozen bodies, then hundreds, then thousands, and the plains become a river of gray-black muscle rolling forward. Among them move zebras, their stripes shivering like the land itself has been split into alternating bands of light and shadow. Beyond them, gazelles, smaller, lighter, easier to lose, but quicker to sense the slightest change in the air. Wildebeest are not built to look noble. Heavy-headed, high-shouldered, sloping toward the rear, they seem assembled from the leftover parts of several different animals. But that awkwardness hides one of the greatest machines of endurance on the savannah. They move not by elegance, but by number and persistence. Zebras serve a different role. They cut the coarse grasses first, opening access to the softer growth wildebeest prefer. Gazelles feed more selectively, always scanning beyond the meal in front of them. All three are here together for a reason. They complement one another like different pulses in the same act of survival. By day, the herd moves like one giant nervous system. Every ear flick, every sudden lifted head, every hoof stamp at the edge of the group spreads like a rumor. Lions read those rumors. Hyenas read them. Cheetahs read them. Every predator knows that when this living river passes through, the whole land changes. Opportunity rises. But so does risk. Because a large herd creates not only confusion, it creates thousands of eyes, ears, and noses. Then comes the river itself. The Mara is not just water. It is a final examination for instinct. From a distance, the surface seems calm. That calm is the frightening part. At the bank, wildebeest stop abruptly. Zebras press close behind them. Gazelles keep farther to the side, legs trembling. None wants to be first. But the longer they wait, the harder the pressure builds from behind, the more thirst tightens, and the stronger the forward pull becomes. One jumps. Then the whole wall begins to collapse toward the water. This is where nature asks its coldest question. When the herd surges at once, who will be half a step slower? Who slips in the mud at the edge? Who is pulled offline by the current? Who loses a calf? Who turns back? The answers change every season. The law does not. Migration is not merely a search for grass. It is one of the savannah's most visible mechanisms of selection. It strips away weakness, poor timing, hesitation. In return, it feeds the whole land. Lions, hyenas, crocodiles, vultures, bacteria in the soil, next year's grass. And once the survivors reach the far bank, they do not stop to celebrate. They simply keep moving. That is what makes the migration so immense. There is no audience in their eyes, no staged tragedy, only the ancient command to continue, even after leaving bodies in the mud behind them. That river of life does not mourn in the human way. But because of it, the savannah never stops functioning. Giraffes, the tallest land animals on Earth, carry a different kind of force. Their legs, nearly 6 feet long, are not merely pillars. They are hammers. A single kick may deliver roughly 2,000 pounds of force, enough to badly injure or kill a lion. Yet what makes giraffes remarkable is not just their power, it is their calm. Many species panic when pressed. Giraffes often do not. They measure. They wait. Then they strike with the timing of something that has never forgotten how dangerous its own body can be. Their height offers another advantage. They see farther than nearly anything else on the plains. Danger appears in their world long before the rest of the savannah fully understands that death is approaching. Warthogs, awkward at a glance, are masters of reaction. They can reach 30 miles per hour over short distances, slipping from ambushes that seem impossible to escape. Yet when trapped, they do not always flee blindly. Their curved tusks become hooks of resistance, capable of turning the final moment of an attack into a painful lesson for the aggressor. Oryx go even further. They almost seem to carry a battlefield on their heads. Horns more than 3 feet long stand straight like forged spears. When attacked, they turn with enough force to puncture even the thick skin of a predator. Wildebeest, central figures of the Great Migration, may weigh as much as 600 pounds and wear curved horns like hooked blades. When pressed too hard, they do not always break. Many plant their feet and drive forward with the full stubbornness their species was born to possess. And Cape buffalo stand at the end of all illusion. Nearly 2,000 pounds. Horns fused at the base into a shield of living steel. A charge capable of breaking ribs and launching predators off their feet. But what makes them truly terrifying is not weight alone. It is cohesion. They do not defend as individuals. They defend as architecture. They become muscular walls around their calves, turning the act of hunting into a nightmare. The turning point in all of this is a truth humans often forget because they are so captivated by teeth and claws. Herbivores are not passive victims. They are engineers, fighters, and silent structural supports holding the savanna together. They feed the land. They open routes. They force predators to refine themselves without rest. And in doing so, they are shaping the evolution of the hunters, as surely as the hunters shape them. On these plains, prey is not merely defined by predation, it is defining the predator in return. Every day, every chase, every counterattack, every dry season, neither side grows alone. Some natural phenomena are more than movements across geography. They are heartbeats. The Great Migration of the African savanna is one of them. Millions of wildebeest, joined by zebras and gazelles, surge across nearly 2,000 miles in a relentless cycle governed by rain and drought. It begins when the Serengeti changes color, when the green grasslands of abundance fade into a dusty yellow sheet, when the waterholes shrink, when each mouthful of grass loses the power to sustain the herds. That is when collective instinct awakens. No trumpet sounds, no command is given. But the herds begin to gather, as if hearing an invisible call from somewhere beyond the horizon. The march is not beautiful in any gentle sense. It is heavy, exhausting, and relentless. Under the burning sun, thousands of bodies walk mile after mile with no true rest. Calves are born along the way and must stand within minutes because the journey does not wait. Tired bodies move together like a single wave of life rolling towards something no individual truly understands, yet the species itself somehow remembers: rain, fresh pasture, continuation. But migration is not only a crossing of dry land, it is also an immersion into danger. The Mara River is its greatest trial. Beneath the murky surface, giant Nile crocodiles wait for months. When the first wildebeest head plunges into the current, order vanishes in an instant. Thousands of bodies collide. Hooves hammer water like thunder. Calves cry for mothers lost in the crush. The current tears the exhausted from formation. And in the middle of that chaos, the most terrifying sound is often the soundless closing of jaws beneath the surface. Some are swept away. Others vanish between teeth rising from the brown water. Yet the most merciless truth of the migration is that it does not stop to mourn. One wave presses over the next. The herd moves on. Because the savanna does not reward hesitation, it asks only one question: can you keep going? Even those who make it to the opposite bank are not yet safe. Lions, cheetahs, and other hunters wait for the broken, the winded, the misaligned. Yet here, the sheer mass of the herd becomes its own weapon. Wildebeest turn the vulnerability of the individual into the protection of numbers. Across open country, where there is almost nowhere to hide, one animal places its entire fate in a few short seconds. The cheetah does not roar like a lion. It does not wait for darkness like a leopard. It does not depend on a large clan the way a hyena does. It needs only the right distance, ground open enough to run, and one moment when its prey loses the rhythm of its own body. Then everything detonates. The long, narrow body lowers into the grass, the spine coiling like a bowstring, the tail flicking once to steady the balance. Ahead, a gazelle grazes, ears twitching, still unaware that death chose it before it looked up. The first surge is not a chase. It is an explosion. Grass tears loose under pounding feet. Red dust boils behind the body. Muscles stretch and recoil in a violent rhythm. The gazelle breaks away at the same instant. It is not running faster than claws. It is running on fear. On the savanna, fear is a perfect engine. The two animals tear open the air between them. On one side, a hunter that must kill quickly before its own heart and lungs begin to burn it alive. On the other, a prey animal that needs only a few more seconds to turn the predator's greatest gift into the thing that destroys it. Both are beautiful. Both are desperate. But the cheetah is a living contradiction. It is among the fastest land animals on Earth, and that very speed is also its most brutal limit. Every sprint is a gamble. Heat builds through the body. The heart hammers. The lungs seem to scrape against fire. If the first grab fails, a second chance may never come. And even after a successful kill in open country, the victory is not secure. Far above, vultures have already seen it happen. Somewhere beyond the ridge, hyenas may already have caught the scent of sweat and blood, announcing a free meal. The cheetah's greatest strength does not place it at the top of the food chain. It only gets it there faster than anyone else, then forces it to eat in fear. This is where the savanna turns expectation upside down. The fastest hunter is not always the one allowed to keep what it catches. The cheetah is built to perfection for the chase. Yet after the chase, it becomes more vulnerable than many heavier, slower animals. A lioness may steal the carcass. A clan of hyenas may force it back. Vultures descend lower. The wind shifts. And if the cheetah takes too long to recover its breath, the meal it purchased with its life may disappear before its eyes. And yet it remains. It still scans the plains with the black tear marks beneath its eyes. It still chooses the right moment, the youngest, the weakest, the route with the fewest obstacles. Its place in this system is not built on dominance. It lies in keeping the antelope alert, moving, sharp with every season. It is the blade of the savanna, not made to destroy everything, but to cut away weakness, hesitation, and bodies that can no longer keep pace with this land. And when evening falls, and a cheetah lies panting beside a gazelle it has just brought down, that is not an image of glory. It is the image of an animal that placed everything into a few brief seconds, and for now outran hunger,